Hey everybody, happy Tuesday to you. It's your girl Shell, Color Beauty. That's my Tuesday night date. We are here, we're live again. I'm so glad to see you again today. So glad we're here with each other. Listen, we got a lot of things to talk about tonight, y'all. It's gonna be a long night, but I promise you we're gonna keep loving each other through it all. Nothing really exciting happened this week. Nothing really exciting. I tell you, the greatest thing that happened for me is that I had a major epiphany happen inside of me on Sunday, and I felt a crack opening. You know how you feel that crack for yourself, and something opens, and it's like you get a new mind about something, and it's like all of a sudden everything about you, just how you think about that thing and how you respond to those around it, you just say, I'm done, I'm good right here. And so I had that major moment on Sunday, and I am really quite happy about it. I'm kind of sitting in another place of God about some things, and so it's been good. We got a lot of things to cover tonight, but I want to start off. I haven't talked about relationships in a long time. And my producer just came in here and dropped the bomb on me because this is his topic of the week, and he wants to hear what I have to say about it. Ugh. So, yikes. So we're gonna just dive in here for a minute. So I'm just trying to stall a little bit because some of you come on every week, and I want to make sure that we all here together because I like it when we can get to spend the full time with each other. So I'm just stalling a little bit. Just bear with me a little bit. Anyway, I hope you had a great week. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope that that from the time we saw each other last week until now that we all are finding ourselves doing well, and everybody is in good health. Your mind, your mental state is in a good place. Listen, if something happened over the weekend, if something touched you, you get enough. You get enough on Tuesday nights that you can pick yourself up on Wednesday and say, you know what? Find the one thing that stuck with you and you capitalize on that. You let that be your moment, your focus for your life. Whatever that thing was that God has spoken to you in the times that we've had together, when things come up against you, let that be the thing that you go back and God say, okay, God, we need to talk about this. How are we going to handle this? How are we going to deal with this? And so I just want to say to you that I'm stalling because let me tell you, I don't really want to deal with this topic, okay? But I'm going to deal with it because it's right. And people think this way all the time. It's interesting. On my way over here, I was listening to the radio, and I was thinking, oh, this conversation is pretty interesting. But nevertheless, my producer asked me, he said, the topic of the day, or I guess of the week, is do I think that, or do I think that having a monogamous relationship is realistic? So, now this is totally off of what we've been talking about, but it kind of everything merges into the new thing, the new place, the new mindset, the new thinking. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just tackle this the way I do things. I just go right in and I just let God lead me. But more importantly, I let my convictions be my guide, because at the end of the day, we all have to be led by our convictions. And your convictions can't just come from how you think about things. They have to come from a place of truth of what you know. If you've out there, you've got some wisdom on some things and you still doing things the same way, you don't have wisdom yet. So your conviction has to come from a place where you say, you know what, I tried this. I measured it against what I believe is right in God. And if you're not in God, then this might be over your head. But it can be, I can do it, but it's not fruitful. So having a monogamous relationship, do I believe it's realistic? Let me say this. God said that we are to have it in marriage. Do I believe it's realistic? If he said it, then it's attainable. It is obtainable. But I will tell you, in this life and in this culture and in this climate, that it is for humanity and all the things that we have allowed to come upon our spiritual palates, our fleshly palates. It is quite difficult. And because there are so many things that we expose our souls to daily that actually have a repetitious beat down on our souls every day. I always say, like to my brother and some other male friends that I have, I'm like, it's hard being a man right now. It's just hard. I'm not a man and don't have a desire to be, but I tell you why I don't. Because for the man who's really trying to live a good life, live a very holy life, a clean life, it's hard because women, we just have a way, we are beautiful creatures. We are beautiful. But I believe this thing has spun so far out, and we are so far away from how we are to present our beauty and have beauty control. And let me tell you something, I'm really on point right here because I remember years ago, I'm doing this, y'all, because I got lipstick on my teeth and I feel it. We talk about everything. Anyway, so I remember a couple years ago, it's been about maybe 12 years ago, I had this dream. And I had been through some things in my life by this time, and I kept running into this same roadblock. Maybe it's been about 15 years ago. And one day I had this dream, and in the dream, the Lord said to me, I saw this thing, and it was something that appeared in my dream, and it said beauty control. And I was like, wow. And for the next 5 to 8 years, I began to deal with this thing, beauty control. God, what does that mean? And God said to me, He said, you have got to learn how to be a steward over how I made you. There are so many beautiful women out there. Oh my God, it's a sea of them. They're countless. But unfortunately, life situations, experiences in life have not helped us to be a better steward over our beauty. Doesn't mean you have to look like you're a nun or act like you a holy, Mother Teresa, but it means that you have to present your best lady. And that means different things to different people. But I remember years ago I went to a cookout with a friend of mine. I went to a girlfriend of mine's cookout, and I was there at the time. I was engaged to my ex-husband at the time. He was my fiance, and a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, showed up at the cookout, and everybody was like, "Did she really do this?" I mean, it was a cookout from a friend of ours who was married, and most of her friends there, they were coupled up, but this person was not. When she came in, she had a very nice dress on, but she was very voluptuous in her top part, she was top heavy, and so her breast was hanging out of the dress to where the meat was. It was just unrealistic, and so I really didn't feel any kind of way because I'm shallow. I feel like I hold my own, but I felt embarrassed, honestly, for the men because I could feel the level of discomfort that the men were having. And let me say this: they probably were like, it was a two-way struggle. They were like, okay, I got my woman with me, but dag, and I'm sure they were saying more than dag, you know what I mean? But I understood that struggle, and so we make it sometimes hard. And I always say, are you putting out there what you want for yourself? Like, if I'm going into a presence of someone who has a husband or they're with a spouse or whatever, I have to be mindful of that because it needs to be a situation where everything is like this. Nobody's trying to outdo anybody. We're not. Look, I'm telling you, own your beauty. But there is a level of stewardship that we have to own with our beauty. And it shouldn't be, we are our sister and our brother's keeper. It shouldn't be, sometimes it's just a matter of just because you want attention. Well, if that's your cheap way of getting it and you have to lure someone else's man in to do it, or women, because men, you are just as guilty, then we have to really evaluate this thing. We have to really take a closer look at ourselves. And I'll tell you, I'm so sorry that I'm in on this conversation because I know this is like one of those things that I have when I have about 5 people around me and we just talking and we talking raw and we just get into it. And I'm only gonna get but so raw with you. I mean, you guys know I keep it real, but I am still a lady. And I understand that every platform has its every platform that I'm in, I have to make sure that I honor the space. Okay, let me say that way. So what am I saying about this whole monogamous thing in terms of relationship? It is obtainable. It is obtainable. Is it hard? It's hard for the person who lacks discipline. And then let me say this. And then sometimes it's not. Sometimes temptation is all around you. And my producer just said earlier, you could be in the copy room at work and it's like, oh, here come, Suave Rico, whatever we call him, or, the suit just look nice. I like the way you made him, God. Or she comes to the office, but today the dress is not quite business-like. It's a little bit on the edge, but it got the attention that she wanted. The temptation is always there, but every day You have to make up your mind. What am I going to allow myself to become a slave to? And that's what I do. I'm going to tell you right now. Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I have. Doesn't mean that I'm like, oh, I'm walking around with blindness. No, I love the way God made His people. I love the way God made men. I just love it. I do, because God's creation is perfect. He's perfected in everything He does. And so it's an insult to Him to not. I feel like, oh, God, I like the way you made him. That was good handiwork. I'm appreciating God. I'm acknowledging the fact that He always knows what He does, what He's doing. But the reality of it is, I understand I can't be with every person I see. That's no. First of all, it's not wisdom. Second of all, that's ridiculous. And so, it is realistic if you live a life with standards for yourself. Now, are you not going to be tempted? No, you're going to be tempted every day, but you got to make a choice every day. Every day you have to make a choice. It's like if you're married. Do you understand when you're married, you have to make the choice to be married every day? I'm not talking about just being together. I mean to be married, to be present in it every day. So anything that you decide that's good for your life, that's good because it's good. Not because it's good, not because you want it, but it's good because at the core of that thing is good. You have to make a choice with it every day. So I'm going to keep it right there. I'm going to keep it real clean right there, because that really wasn't my platform tonight. And so I'm going to produce. I'm going to keep moving, because I think I'm going to do just as much as I'm going to do with that topic right there. But I want to say some other things to you all. I'm just kind of going back and forth on my phone because I want to see who's out there with me. I wanted to, today is like a bittersweet day for me. So how can we start this? I want to say this. Sometimes God will send people in your life to help you. And they're not always, it doesn't always come in the package that you want. It doesn't always come through who you want. And I'm so clear about that. A lot of times I've asked God, why can't I do it the way they do it? Or why can't I get the help that they get? Or why can't I get assistance over here? And, I've learned, one of the things I've learned just coming to the radio show and just doing the radio show is that God doesn't always send you the help in the package that you want. As a matter of fact, you're the package of help for somebody else. And the funny thing is that you weren't the package that they were looking for, but it was who God sent. But you were who God sent. And so I just like how God has done that. And so I say that because today, my friends, is Overtime's last day on WTTS radio. And so it's bittersweet. It has been a pleasure, and I mean an absolute pleasure, to serve you in wisdom, in matters of the heart, in conversation. You tolerate me and I tolerate you. We just come together like, we sitting at the fireplace and we just talk. And I don't claim to be an expert on really a lot of things, but I've lived life. And so I just want to say thank you for how you have allowed me into your space to share what I've learned in life. And hopefully it's been a blessing to you. I'm so grateful because God has blessed me in this hour with some beautiful people. Darnell Lee is my producer, and I really, when I tell you he is absolutely gem to my life, I really do mean that. For anybody who knows me knows that I'm passionate about everything in my life. There's not anything in my life that I'm not passionate about, and if it is in my life, if I'm not passionate about it, most times it's not there. And so, we always have choices, and we can always make a choice to walk away from something or be a part of something. And so God chose this for me, and I agreed with Him. And I want to say thank you, Darnell, for believing in me, for being patient with me, for allowing me to be evolved in this new experience, because this has by far been the highlight of my year. Just being able to see myself interact with you all every week and just showing up, even on the days you have no idea. There's been Tuesdays and I'm like, God, I don't even know if anybody's going to show up. I don't even know if I have anything good to say. I don't even know what I want to talk about. But I showed up. I was consistent. I showed up. And so I want to thank him publicly for that. I want to thank my colleague in the radio station. Comes on right after me, Get Loose Radio. My boy Jordan Gregory, crazy as he want to be. I love him. And believe it or not, it was him. He's the reason why I'm here with you all today. Just a real quick story. I was going in the bank one day and I was just taking care of some business, like just like regular people do. And this gentleman, Jordan, had to help me. We were just talking. I don't know how we got on some different topics, but we were. And he said, you have a radio voice. Did you know that? And I said, well, I do some speaking. And so he asked me when I come on his radio show. And I said, oh, Lord. I said, these young people get ready to get me jammed up because, that era, I'm like, oh, God, what are we going to talk about? But lo and behold, I showed up, I came, and it was a great time. I met Darnell. And as I was sitting here with Jordan, God said to me, ask him, is there a platform here for you? And I was like, it's okay. I could just come here and just do the show with Jordan and just go home and never come back. And I kept feeling this thing, ask him, is there a platform here for you? And when I mentioned it to Darnell, he was like, yes. Tell me which night you want. When God has an open door for you, it is so easy. It's easy. And the people on the other side waiting with their door, with the open door, they ready for you. They ready. And it's so much I got to talk about with y'all about that thing tonight because it was an easy yoke. And all I had to do was step through it and just show up every week. And so I'm grateful because had I known the doors that I was trying to get through was not open for me. And they were looking like they were doors that should have been open for me. But I've learned through this experience, it's very humbling, that you never, first of all, if you're a certain age, don't stop looking at young people like they don't know nothing because that's not true. I surround myself by young people because they are innovative, they're creative, and they see things from a different set of lenses, and I love it. Because when you get more mature, sometimes your lenses become dull because you operating on A, what you've been through, your experience, and B, what you already always known or who's around you. And so I'm grateful that God has allowed me to just constantly live outside the box and think outside the box, and it surrounded me with people who just are just passionate and excited about just life and the next thing, and always being able to think about the next thing and move toward that. And so I want to just publicly thank my WTTS radio family. I love all of you. Every show that comes on, I just love the people that come in, that have the tenacity and that have the driven dream to come in and say, I'm gonna do something. I want to do something different. I want to see what I can see about myself through this experience. And so I'm really happy about that. When I first started, I didn't know what I was doing, and I said, God, I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know what I'm doing, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then one day God said, no, you don't know what you're doing, but that's exactly where I want you. And so it allowed me to not take myself so serious and to loosen up the reins so that I could get to know me another way. Do you realize on this radio show I've come to know another part of myself? And I want to say thank you, because without you, I wouldn't have showed up. I mean, I showed up a lot of Tuesdays because I knew there were some people that were waiting to hear. And when you get it in your soul that, wait a minute, my presence here, it matters. It makes you show up in a different way. And so I am very grateful for that. I've never tried to be anybody else but myself. I've never tried, I do show. And I think that we do God a great honor. God is his desire that we show up in how he made us, because we are his creation and he gets pleasure in what he has created. And so it's an insult to try to show up and be somebody or do it like somebody else. I never do that. I just do me. I just try to do it with, the way it's in me. I'm my organic self. And because of that, I don't have anything to prove. I say, well, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Some people don't like tea. Maybe I'm somebody's cup of coffee, and some people don't like coffee. But at the end of the day, when I show up for show. And I show up to be in the best me that I can be, not just for my life, but for those who are affected by my life, because we're all affected by each other. How do we know? Because if you hurt someone that's dear to me and they're walking around with this wound, that's going to affect how they are with me. So it's important to me that I'm being fruitful, and I affect positive things and infect you with the positive thing that should come up off of your life. So what comes up off my life is going to infect you or affect you a different way. And my prayer is that it does it in life, that it does it in life for you. And so I didn't have a topic tonight. I knew we were going to be leaving today. I've been knowing some time, but I wanted to keep seeing you. I wanted you to keep showing up because, we started this thing together. We're going to end this thing right. We're going to end it together. It's been beautiful. I want you to know it's been beautiful. Thank you so much for how you've encouraged me, how you have shown up for yourself, and you've allowed yourself to, just kind of open up. And some people have joined the show and don't even know that, didn't even, they really may not have agreed with some of the things I've said, but they keep showing up. And so I'm grateful for that. God is, he's elevating me to the next part of the blueprint in my life. And I am going to I'm not going to hinder him. I'm going to honor him in that way, because I believe that even when my feelings say I don't want to go, my soul and my spirit man is saying this is the way, go therein. And so even in this, there were some things that I wanted God to do. I wanted God to help me in some areas, and through some people. And God, one day God said to me, he said, the thing that you're looking for me to do through people for you, I put it inside of you. And I said, God, well, who's going to help me? He said, I'm going to help you. I put it inside of you. Sometimes a thing that you lack, that you have lacked from getting from people or situations, God allows it so that the very thing that you didn't get, you are embodied with for other people. And as you pour, you get what you need. I'll go back to what I always tell you, what I've been telling you for years. The way to your need is through your seed. If you don't have what you need because you haven't sold enough into somebody else, I'm going to say it again. You might not like it, but I'm going to say it again. If you don't have what you need, it's because you haven't sold enough into somebody else, the very thing that you lack. Well, how can I give what I don't have? Let me tell you something. You can always give what you don't have. If you didn't get support somebody else. If you didn't have somebody say, you know what, you great, you better go tell somebody they're great. If you didn't have somebody say, you can make it, you can do this thing, or somebody pray with you, you better go find somebody who is struggling and say, listen, let me just give you something, because I didn't get it, and I know how you feel because I didn't get it. And so I'm just grateful that I'm in this life. A lot of things I've suffered some things, y'all. But the very things that I was wounded by, I actually stand on now. Hallelujah, God. I stand on them, y'all. You know why? Because I figured it out one day. I began to find people that I could bless. And when I started just being a blessing, what it did was it started growing me more and more. The more I poured, the more I was growing, and the more that pain was leaving me. And so I wasn't bleeding on people, because that was my prayer. I don't want to bleed on them, God. It has to be the exact thing I prayed for you for. If you want me to pour, it has to be in the full health of that thing, in the healthy state. And God honored me. He did that for me. And so I'm grateful for that. I always say, when we leave this time, y'all, I don't want you to, forget what we talked about. I want you to remember everything. You're gonna see me again, because I'm still on 2 Minute Tuesdays. For those of you who want to follow my fan page, is Color Beauty, KOLOR Beauty LLC. You can go to my page and like it, or you can go to Nichelle C. Johnson and like it. I do 2 Minute Tuesdays every Tuesday, and then some other things coming down the pike that the Lord just blew my mind with this week. And I'm like, okay, God, I don't know what you're doing with that, but we're gonna keep moving. I'm in the blueprint. But I said to you before, take the meat and leave the bones. And then, funny thing is, I was riding to work, riding to the studio today, and the Lord said, Nichelle, even marrow, bones have marrow in it. So do you realize that? Don't throw away the bones yet, because the bones have marrow. Marrow is the fatty tissue, is the fattiness that sits in the cavities of your cells. If a person has cancer, some type of leukemia, anything, all they need sometimes is if they get a bone marrow if they get like some bone marrow, how people go and they donate their bone marrow. Do you know if a person gets that, who is a cancer patient, they have strength, they begin to gain strength to keep going. In some situations, the cancer has dissipated, has gone away. So don't always count bones as bones. The Bible says that when God told Ezekiel to speak to the dry bones, I said, God, why would you say speak to the dry bones? He said, because dry bones have marrow. You can live off of marrow. Marrow can take you along. You're strengthened by the marrow. And so I said, take the meat and leave the bones. But you know what? Take the bones too. Because you never know. Later down the road, you might need the bones. You never know. You never know. So I just, I wrote some things down that I wanted to say, and you know how that is when you write stuff down, it never comes out the way you want to say it. And so I'm kind of looking over this as I talk, but I'm just glad that I have had this opportunity. Everything that we've talked about the last 2 weeks, most recently I have completely, over the last few years, it has been one of the hardest things for me to really become one with who I am. That started happening for me, I mean, maybe about since 2000 and maybe two. And then recently, in the last 6 years, I have completely embodied who I am. And I'm okay with that. I live in the full sentiment of what God said. I need you to be okay with how I made you. Listen, God wants us to be okay with how He made us. We're going to work the kinks out every day, daily. But ultimately, He desires that we are honoring how He made us so that we can, after we have been good to ourselves, that we can actually be a fruit in the community of who we are and of humanity. And so I hope I've been that to you. He's actually this time with you on Tuesdays have actually woven something else in my DNA. I'm now embodied, fully embodied. I am secure in the idea that God knows exactly what He's doing. I don't have to figure it out anymore. I don't have to try to get anxiety over what I wish or what I pray or what I think may or may not come to pass. I'll share that with you freely because we all have like passions in some ways. We are like in a lot of ways. We all have things that we pray about or we think about or we wish for, and we're concerned sometimes, is it going to come to pass? Is it going to happen? Yes, it's going to happen. It's coming to pass. But I've finally figured it out, and I am submitted to it now. I'm not controlled by it, but I'm submitted to this journey until what it mean for my life. I'm not looking on the sidelines. I'm not wishing it's going to do, God, you send this person to help that person find. God said, listen, you asked me to do something that's never been done before. Now, you can't ask me to do it like I did it for that person, because then you've missed the best part of what I'm doing for you and in you and through you and for you. And so, don't try to do it like anybody else. Don't try to be like anybody else. Don't try to take references from how somebody else did it. Just figure it out with you and God. What does it mean for me, God? And I promise you, it's going to unfold like a beautiful flower that's blossoming in its season. I promise you it will. I'm really at the end of what I had to say. I'm praying that your life become fruitful, that it is already, that the fragrance of who you are, of how God made you, that everywhere you go, it heralds before you get there. It's like it announces your coming. And when you leave, it remembers that you came. That's how, when you have good perfume on, it's like, whoa, somebody's coming into the room. And when you leave, they're like, oh, who was that? Was so-and-so here? I pray that the fragrance on your life is just that way. That as you approach or enter into the next season or the next environment or the next atmosphere, that people are wondering, who is that before you even get there? Because it's something about them. And then when you leave, they say, man, who is she? Who is she? And so, that's just kind of what we have today. I don't know. I'm gonna take a minute and take a break because I'm gonna be over my time, but I knew that I would be because that's my last day with you. But I'm gonna read a few comments, and if you just hang in there with me for about 60 seconds, I'll be right back. All right, we back. But listen, before we get out of here, I gotta say a few things. I want to thank God for the people who have truly, true. We're back, y'all. We're back. I was talking, we weren't back yet. Oh, it's just how we do on Tuesdays. Listen, I want to thank God. I got a few shout outs I want to give because, whenever you're doing something different, there's always this little, remember the Flintstones when Fred used to have Kazoo. Kazoo would be sitting up on his shoulder, always getting him in trouble. And, I just thank God for these, just it's a cloud of witnesses that's been really cheering me on, and you have been supporting me every week. I love you. I want to say to the world, because I'm speaking world. I love you. I love you. To my best friend, second to Jesus and third to my mom, Kim Johnson. You are the bomb, girl. You are the best friend a woman could ever ask for. I mean, a true dear friend. And I love God. I always wanted a lot of friends. My mother said to me one day, she said, Nichelle, in this life, you won't get a lot of friends. You'll have a lot of people. You'll know a lot of people, but you're only going to get about 1 to 3 good friends. And I want to thank God for that because that's a real word in my life. And I want to thank God for Kim Johnson. You are my friend. You was there with me in the fire, in the smoke. And when the smoke cleared, you were still there. And I thank God for you. Thank God for my girl Walita. You crazy loony as a team. But I love you. I love you because you show up every week. Every week you've spoken life to me. People don't know when you pour out to people and they and you come after I pour out, I go home sometimes and I don't have anybody to minister to me. And this one person, Walita Hawkins, has always prayed for me on Monday nights. Right before Tuesday, she prayed for me on Tuesday nights and she prayed for me on Wednesday mornings that God would strengthen me. And I'm so grateful to have people like her in my life that understand that when you are taking time out just to be a blessing, just to do what God tells you to do, it's not easy, but I promise you it's fruitful. There, he will always earmark people with you on their heart to do exactly what's needed for the hour. And God, she showed up for me in that way. And I thank you. Thank God for you, Walita. I love you madly. And then there's Judy Chandler Albus. Love you, girl. Love you. This is a person who we've been friends for a lot of years, had ups and downs, had in and out. Let me tell you, you don't really know who your friends are until y'all go through some really rough spots until it looks like you're not friends no more. And then you say, oh, okay, we made it through that. We came back and drowned. And then some kind of way we got resuscitated and God was there. And we pick up like nothing ever happened. I thank God for you, Judy, because you have supported me and I bless God. I'm just so grateful for the people who have showed up, who have been consistent. I like consistency, y'all, because you know what I found out? You may not get it right every time. If you just show up, though, one of them times, it's like throwing a brick at a brick, throwing a pebble at a brick wall. You may not see it chip away, but if you keep throwing at that same spot long enough, you're going to start seeing the brick chip away. And so it's consistency, the same pebble going against the same spot in that brick. And so I'm thankful because it's just the consistency of these women who have been a blessing to my life. A friend of mine, Rodney Gerald, has always spoken life into me. And again, my producer, Donnell, who just always, when it's not so good, I remember when I first started, he was like, I don't like dead air. I was like, okay, what does that mean? Because I'm new to this. But he hung in there with me, and after a while, I figured it out, and he figured it out. Like, this is your brand. This is how God is using you, and so he was open to that. And so, like I said, he's become like family to me, and so I'm thankful for him. But I'm thankful for everybody who shows up every week, even the people that from time to time you just say, "Hey, you're right, sis. Thank you for the word. Thank you." Thank you, because you actually you are the part in the cake that's making the whole in the batter that's making the cake rise for the next thing that God is getting ready to do. And so I just want to say thank you all. Listen, you'll see me again. This is not the end. This is the beginning. And so I want to make sure that we say that, because when you see me again, we're gonna not really pick up where we left off, but we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going, because there's going to be some new things happening. I want you to really remember that no matter where you are in this life, God is with you. God is for you. Now, there may be some things in your life right now that you don't like and that God maybe not be so pleased with, but at the end of the day, He is still for you. It's like a parent who has to keep visiting their child in incarceration. And that's not what they would have for their child. But they're for them because they're saying, you can get through this. It's more in you than that. And so I want you to know God is for you. He has a beautiful plan to bring you out. Cooperate with Him. Show up. Let Him do the work, but ultimately you show up for yourself. Show up. And I promise you, it's going to turn out just like you dreamed it would. It's probably going to be better, because usually when God does something, it's usually better than the way we think it's going to be. We pray the thing, we pray in what we see, but we pray in what we see, but the way it works out is in the mind of God. Only He knows that. And so, that's kind of like one of those beautiful things that you can't really you really don't even know how to explain that. And I'm glad, because if I did, then I wouldn't need God. I wouldn't need Him. And so, as we always do, we're going to end with prayer. I pray that God keeps you blessed, your family be blessed, your relationships be blessed, your life be blessed, your endeavors, that you find a way to be blessed, to be a blessing to others. Don't you be selfish. Let me tell you something. Don't you be selfish. Don't nobody care about how gifted or how anointed you are if they've never experienced it what's on your life for themselves. See, people can only appreciate you when who you are benefits them. And that's not a bad thing because we become so selfish and so self centered that it's all about us. What glory does God get? And actually, what satisfaction do you get? You can get all that you want. And at the end of the day, if you haven't touched somebody's life to be better or to do something better than what you did, you really haven't lived yet. And you really don't understand the essence of life. And so remember, I always said we come to do two things: live and leave. It's what you do in between that matters. Make it count real good. The Lord bless you with your parenting, if you're parents, that God give you wisdom to parent your children in a way that they will grow up to be um, great adults, to be leaders in the earth, to set the standard for how we're supposed to be. The Lord bless you in your marriages if you're married, that God would restore the language, that you would understand the language, that the language would not be distorted, that you could communicate in a way that's lovely. And even when it seems like it's hard, that you would always find your way back to the core of who you know you are together. The Lord bless you in your friendships, that you don't lose friendships on a humble, that you don't allow the devil to invade your hearts, and that you lose friendships because you're pride or because you don't see things eye to eye. That's the beauty about us. Sometimes we're not going to see eye to eye on things, and that's great. That's what makes us a melting pot. God bless you on your jobs, that you're fruitful, that everything you put your hands to, it prospers, so that when you go for the next promotion, it's given to you. It's effortless. It's effortless. I'm speaking life over you now. God bless you and your family, that your family is restored, that there's no it's a lot right here, y'all, that there's no infractions in the family, and if there are infractions, that you will be bold. That God will create you to be the bold one to help to restore the fraction of the breaches in the family, that you be the one He used. That there will be no premature deaths in our family. You know, so many people and children and young people are dying prematurely because they just don't understand that we have been sent here to live. And so they don't have a value for life. God bless you to be able to impart that to, if you don't have children, to children that you know, somebody that comes in your path, or someone that you know that has children. Maybe something that you say to them will impart something different in their lives for their children. You know, God bless you in your thinking, that your thoughts line up and produce the life that you know you can have. God bless you in that. God bless you in that. God bless you in that. God bless you, just bless you and bless you until you don't have anything else to receive. You don't have no more room to put the blessings. That's how much I want God to bless you, because I'm asking for that for you and me, because it's available, it's obtainable, and God desires to do that. You know, He says He takes more pleasure in blessing you than you do in receiving it. And so God bless you to really embrace that word and understand it. So God, I want to say thank you for the time I've had with my friends, some that I know, some that I don't. Thank you because you're kind to us that way. Thank you, oh God, because you don't do anything by happen chance, God. Everything you do is intentional and is purposeful. Thank you for everything that you spoke, for every Tuesday that you spoke, God. Thank you for the seeds of life that were sown. God, thank you because I walked away every Tuesday and I got something for myself. So thank you, God, that you were able to give me something too. I thank you. I thank you, God, that I got something from this. God, I pray in the name of Jesus, oh God, that all those that are under the sound of my voice right now, that their lives will be blessed richly, and that whatever they've gotten in this time together every Tuesday, that it would be life, that they would embody it for themselves to be life to somebody else after they themselves have received the benefit of it. In the name of Christ Jesus, God, I thank you and praise you. And I thank you that we'll see each other again, because this life is funny like that, God. You always know how to connect us and reconnect us. It's been wonderful. It's been beautiful. Y'all, I love you madly. Thank you for allowing me to just be who I am. And I'm going to see you soon. Keep a lookout. Some great things are coming. I'll see you soon. It's Color Beauty. Y'all stay blessed.